Hello and welcome back to the Lapdown podcast. My name is Alex. The next voice you're going to hear is Dan. And we've got a decent amount to talk about because we managed to time today's recording session brilliantly for a whole host of news and stuff that's come out. So there's plenty going on. We've had a race. We've got another race this weekend. Dan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. And I'm glad we've stumbled across this happy accident for a gap in both of our schedules to be able to talk about Formula One, as you say, a day that has a lot of things to talk about, which is nice. And I nearly set you off quickly on the podcast then, and you didn't get going, which is good. So have you seen all of those reels and stuff where the FIA kind of set up and caught out all the people back in the 2000s that were actually cheating with the lights? Have you seen that?
Yes, well, I'm aware of. I don't think I've seen it, but I'm aware that they all learned the rhythm or the pattern or something on the lights. They all had the FIA were like, we're going to mug you off here. Which I've got so much time for from a sporting body.
Oh, it's brilliant.
We could send an email around and say, lads, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're changing the system, but they went, no.
We are going to make you look silly, which I didn't do.
Hey, Tim, watch this. Dicks. Yes.
Which I didn't do. But yeah, I'm good. How are you, mate?
We're doing all right. Wow, Lando. We'll come on to this in a little bit. But as a McLaren fan, what a time to be alive. As a Max Verstappen fan, what a time to be alive. As an F1 fan, what a time to be alive. We're so back. Well, actually, no, we might not be back anymore. We might have gone full circle to the point that we're now not back because Lando's just going to win by 2.5 laps every weekend.
It could be. And I mean, you made a great point when you sent me a WhatsApp the other day, and you said about something along the lines of, is Lando destroying Formula One and how are we going to sell tickets to Silverstone next year type thing? And there's a great chance that we are kind of, we've reached the peak. We've been back and now we're kind of going back.
Rolling down the other side.
Yeah, we could be. We absolutely could be. And that's when you get some incredibly mild takes from other Formula One podcasts that come out with things like, well, I think McLaren could be favourites for the constructors. It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
They have been for some weeks.
Like Checo's had his best result for months and he's finished 7th or 6th.
And he went backwards from his starting grid position as well. And we're all, yes, Checo!
What a guy.
Well done.
Yeah. Who knows? I think for the remainder of this year, Lando dominating is great because I hope, and we said about it last week, I hope that we can at least get to Abu Dhabi. And even if it's like, well, Max needs to finish in the top 9 to secure the Drivers' Championship and Lando needs to win and get the fastest lap to get the thing. Yes, please. Give me that. Give me excitement for the rest of the, 5 months of the season. Yeah. And if Max wins it, fine.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And it's our rule all along, isn't it, that we don't mind Max winning as long as Max had to work for it. And, I mean, look, I think it's a little bit rose-tinted from the entire F1 world that we've seen one bloke win 2 races now that wasn't Max Verstappen, and we've gone, title fight is on.
Well, we've seen Lewis win 2 a couple of weeks ago. No one just about that one.
Didn't get out of Q2, did he? I think everyone is getting a little bit giddy and we've all had a little bit of sugar. And I think realistically there's going to be 3 or 4 rounds before the end of the year that Max has probably boxed it off. But there's also the potential that Red Bull probably have to start throwing some stuff against the car and hope it sticks and makes the car quicker now. Because I think they will get into a genuine situation where they need to prove to Max that it is worth... that the grass isn't greener. Not now and not next year, but for 2026, they need to show that without Adrian and, with all the things going on, that they can overcome adversity, which could go one of 2 ways. Either, and Red Bull have said we've got some upgrades to come and whatever, and McLaren have said they've got some upgrades to come and whatever. We've seen with Aston, upgrades can send you into reverse. And... if you're taking maybe the slightly riskier route, we do it all the time. If we go back to the F1 game, you can, expedite development, can't you? At the risk of that development failing.
Yeah.
And if Red Bull start doing that, is there a chance that they go in the wrong direction? Who knows? I'm being perhaps slightly hopeful, but it's not impossible. You make mistakes when you're trying to run faster than you can walk.
Yeah, I would imagine with regards to the constructors, I would have thought that they are probably sitting around kind of with their fingers crossed, hoping that something just clicks for Checo. Because if something can click for Checo, then they've probably got enough to kind of keep McLaren at bay over the course of the remainder of the season. Or at least it's going to be incredibly close come the end of the year. And I think it probably will be. But that's, I think, their hope there.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm not convinced anybody in Milton Keynes is even slightly bothered / worried about Max losing a World Drivers' title at the moment. It's going to take, I think it's almost going to take kind of 2 DNFs for Max to really kind of, to really suddenly go, oh shit, we're in a spot of bother now.
Yeah. So Lando's 70 points behind at the minute. And there is 12 races left this year, I think. 12? That feels like a lot, doesn't it?
Could be.
It feels like a hell of a lot.
So it's almost like it requires a Lando win and fastest lap for 10 of the 12 races.
There are 9 races left this year. I've gone slightly heavy, but there's 9 races left.
So it is going to take Lando pretty much to win the lot and Max to finish second / third a couple of times to get that close.
And at least, I think, realistically, a DNF.
Yeah.
Or a non-point scoring day for whatever reason. But,
Yeah.
you know, he could have a mishap that puts him P11 or whatever. But he needs to have a non-point scoring day, I think, realistically, for Lando to get close. But, I mean, hats off to the bloke. He's pulled 20 seconds. I mean, out of nowhere. Every time you check, it was flashbacks to, I think, like our 3rd or 4th pod, where it was Bahrain, and we were talking about the fact that every time you looked at the timing tower, Max Verstappen was a second further down the road than he was the last time you looked. And it was the same with Lando this time. It was outrageous that he kept pulling it away and then just went and banged in the fastest lap of the race on the final lap on 21 lap old hards when no one had told him to do it. He just went and did it. Like, wow. Wow, is what I'll say.
It's a good summary. The race was a bit, well, it's forgettable, wasn't it?
Oh,
I think
100%.
Would be the polite way to describe it. And I mean, it got so forgettable for Mercedes in particular that they just started pitting their drivers for they just thought, oh, we'll just do it. I mean, because let's try. Because who knows?
We dropped 2 positions
There was
on George for the sake of it.
As you said, the move from Norris to get past Verstappen was good, but it was so kind of almost overpowered that it was a bit of a formality by the time they got to the end of that short straight. And then he just cleared off.
Yeah.
Kind of Oscar followed Charlie about for a little while, and that looked kind of good. And he followed George around for a bit, but couldn't really get close. And there were a couple of moments with 5 cars coming down the start-finish straight side by side.
To be fair,
that was great.
When they cut to that, well, we didn't really know it was happening because the race direction, God forbid, you know what's going on in the race.
Yeah.
But when they've just randomly cut to halfway down the start-finish straight, you're seeing cars jostle about like the 5 lights have just gone out. And it's like, what is going on here, chaps? Like, how have we got into this position?
No, it was great. Those bits were good, but we kind of knew what we were getting. We both said in that kind of previous episode that we didn't think this track was particularly good for motorsport. And, well, particularly not this motorsport. The cars are too wide. They can't get close enough to each other, and the straights aren't long enough for these ones to be able to overtake each other. So, not a great recipe, but... yeah. Yay, Lando.
Yay, Lando. There you go. And fair play. I mean, he kind of brought it on himself a little bit. He was doing a bit of a Perez glory run, ironically. But Hamilton drove nicely and got his elbows out and sort of showed... I guess if you're a Ferrari fan, like, he maybe just put... I know that we're never going to be that concerned, but maybe just put a lot of antihistamine on a hay fever sniffle of, like... Is he still good? Like, yeah, he still knows what he's doing in a car, lads. He just kind of fucked up his quali. So that was quite impressive. But yeah, it wasn't a banger. Now, this is my stat that I saw earlier that amazed me and didn't amaze you. And this is where it starts to highlight our differences in our F1 background knowledge.
Yeah.
That was only the 15th time in the history of Formula One that all 20 cars are finished. Which I went, well, there's no way that's true. That's bollocks. And you went, no, I can believe that. And I mean, this is my DTS-ness showing.
Yeah.
But that's just an insane stat to me. How many Grand Prix have we had? Like 200 official?
Quite a few since 1950 anyway.
Yeah. Not 200. Where am I getting that from? There was a marquee one. Was it 1,000?
1,500?
We've had a lot. Where have I got 200 from? I've had 200 this season. But the fact that that was the 15th time is...
1,116 World Championship events have been held over 75 seasons in 34 countries and under 54 race titles at 77 racing circuits.
1.5% of the races, they all finish.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I get it. In the early days, they were essentially racing tractors that they, put a stick of dynamite in and hope they got around the corner. But 15? That's it. 15. I think like 5 of them have been this year or something. Like, good Lord.
And to be honest with you, I'd be interested to know of those 15, how many of those have happened in the last 20 years as well.
Well, yeah, I think 5 have been this year, I think.
Yeah, I would be shocked if nearly all of that 15 hadn't happened turn of the millennium. And it's not necessarily because the drivers were worse. It's purely, I think, just down to complete reliability.
Well, here we go.
At the moment, we seem to
give you them all if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it. Just let me know. Let me know when they kind of started to.
I'll just throw years at you.
Yeah.
I don't know what order these are in. I'm taking this from Reddit, so thanks Reddit. But and you'll understand why I don't understand the order. 2016, 11, 1961, 2005, 16 again, 21, 19, 21, 23, 24, 23, 24, 24. 18, 23, 24, 15, 22.
So there was one race in the 1960s where...
What order have they presented that to me?
One that's useful for Reddit and not much use anywhere else. But that's quite incredible, actually, to think that the full set of however many cars started that race in 1961 all finished.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most of these drivers just trip over one another, don't they? They don't really have reliability issues. It's kind of a lot of parts management that might see someone retire. They might drive into the back of someone or anything like that. Whereas back in I was about to call it the good old days, and I'm not really sure what that was, but like I have vivid memories of Mika Hakkinen retiring on the last lap of a Grand Prix because his car just went pop and just sat there crying on the side of the track, which doesn't happen anymore. Which takes away a bit of jeopardy, which I kind of liked back in the day.
Yeah, it's why I like the Little League World Series. I get a lot of Little League World Series on my TikTok because it's just baseball where stuff happens that shouldn't happen in baseball, like the pitcher starts crying because he hit someone, and it just brings an extra layer of jeopardy and fun to it.
Yeah.
When at some point a dad's going to have to run out to the bloke at third base because he's been stung by a bee. And he's inconsolable. And I guess that's old school F1. It's the Little League World Series. It's old school F1.
Very
similar. We're now in Major League Baseball. And this is what happens.
Exactly that.
Speaking of Little Leaguers, what a transition this is from me. Because it looked like the trophy from Zandvoort had been designed by one. The trophy was actually Robbie Williams designed. That Robbie Williams. Angels Robbie Williams.
Wow.
It had a load of shit written on it that wasn't very fun. It's part of Robbie Williams. He's doing a mental health exhibition in Amsterdam. And so they thought it would be a good idea for him just to write a really load of negative, poor mental health-based, like anxiety slogans all over the trophy in felt tip pen. I'm not sure if I'm Lando, who's going to win a lot more trophies. He's going to get to a point, I'm sure, where he can't single stack them in a trophy cabinet. They're going to have to be staggered. And I think 2024 Zandvoort might just slide behind another trophy at some point and get hidden. Because I don't mind that it looks like a giant egg cup. But what I don't want is a giant egg cup that's telling me I should go and kill myself. That's not a winner's trophy for a Grand Prix.
There's, no, I agree. Yeah. I mean, at the point that he has to hire one of those big yellow storage units to put those trophies in, I suspect that one is going to be in there first and then end up at the very back of it. There's a lot to unpack there, isn't there? With Robbie Williams' mental health trophy in Amsterdam was part of exhibition, because I'm fairly sure he was partial to a few extracurricular activities during points, and then to have that in Amsterdam and end up...
In fairness, I think that the exhibition is about fame and the pressures that fame brings upon you. So I think I think Robbie Williams has a connection to it through those activities.
Yes.
I just not sure I need that on my congratulations, I've done well cup.
No.
That's make a replica and auction the replica or something, or have hey, here's a version of the trophy.
Yeah,
Lando gets that one, but we also made this one to prove a point. You don't need to prove a point with Lando's one.
It would be. I find it quite difficult to hide emotions when I'm kind of disappointed with things.
Yeah,
and I could see myself kind of wandering up onto the podium, having a look at it, being handed it, and just going, so I've sweated my bollocks off for 72 laps here, and you're giving me this absolute piece of tack crockery that you're going to expect me to hoist up in the air in celebration, whilst I turn it round and I see the words "kill myself."
Yeah, you're right.
And you're like, nah, I'm good actually. No, just take it back.
Yeah, but they had a nice one.
Yeah,
the constructors one was the normal version, which had like the cool, intricate painting and stuff on it. But
just think, like Lando wins next week.
Yep,
and he's going to get another stinker.
It's going to be arguably close to being worse, because this one has a name. This one is called Vroom. It's, I mean, if you haven't seen it, go and find it. It looks like someone failed to make a waffle, is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
I've seen it described as a 3D printing experiment gone wrong.
Yeah, I'd like to advance on your failed waffle.
Yes.
I kind of feel like it's a mum who set up an Etsy shop, and they've just kind of used a Cricut printer for the first time, and they're going to do you personalized Formula One trophies for your little boy or girl's 7th birthday, and this is what they're offering.
And they're £48 plus £15 delivery because they're artisan. Officially, apparently, the trophy represents the long history of Pirelli tyres combined with impressions of speed and acceleration.
Where?
Are you getting that, Dan?
No,
you're not getting that.
At best, they look like a set of knuckle dusters.
Yes, I look. I'm happy to accept the Pirelli connection. Right, come with me on this journey.
Where?
We're
because they're black and their tyres are black.
No, we're on the helicopter. Right, we're on the helicopter. We're flying over the track. Right, come with me. It's ASMR now, right?
Yeah.
And Logan Sargent's put it in the wall again. He's crashed into the tyre barrier. So all the tyres have compressed themselves, look. Right. And the silver bit at the bottom is Logan Sargent RIP in pieces car.
Right.
And it's a tyre wall, top down. I'm trying hard for them here. I'm trying to help.
I think you're chatting shit.
I'm trying to help, Dan.
I don't think there is any help, AB. This is awful.
Terrific.
It looks... Okay, right. Okay. Here's my attempt. I've got two.
Yep.
I've got two here. I've got one that I think makes a lot of sense as to what it is, but has no relevance to Pirelli whatsoever.
Okay.
And it looks a bit like a crap kind of brake caliper. There's a bit of that in kind of outline. Like, I know brake calipers don't have holes in it, and I understand that. Like that's kind of a...
Well, it depends what your cooling's like on your brakes.
True.
Maybe away.
My other thought is, have they just been round like where would it have been? I can't even remember what the last corner is at Monza called. What's that called? It has a name.
It's
a really famous name. Okay, let's call it Ascari. And it isn't the last one. That's the set chicanes beforehand.
Look at me with my knowledge.
I know you've done well there. You've done well. That corner name will come to me by the end of the podcast, and it will really annoy me. But they've just been around there at the end of last year, scooped up a load of marbles.
Yeah.
Some bloke from Pirelli's walked off with it in his pocket, pulled it out, and just gone, oh, that looks like a Formula One trophy to me. There's my two. That's all I've got. Parabolica. I bloody knew I'd get that.
I googled it.
I didn't get it.
I googled it.
Yeah, I got nothing. It's crap.
Yeah, it's terrible. The last thing I'll say, for any of my UK friends, although I think you see this in America a fair bit, you know when you're driving down the A14 and there's sections of it that have expanded and cracked over time, and their solution to that is you just spunk a load of rubber into it to sort of seal the road. Yeah. There it is.
No, that's a good shout. Did Pirelli do that?
Possibly.
Okay. Or is that just Highways Agency?
Lifted off. Maybe they could have just lifted this up.
Do you know, I really enjoyed your transition from Little League World Series to the trophies, chat.
Yep.
But I thought you were going a different way. When you said about a parent consoling a crying child who had just been stung by a bee, I thought you were going down the route of Logan Sargent is now dead in the world of Formula One.
Yeah, he is. R.I.P. and peace, Logan.
Poor Logie.
Not poor Logie, though. He's been shit.
No, it was just a small mistake. That's all it was. It was just a small mistake. That small mistake did involve driving like 1,000 brake horsepower Formula One car across some really wet grass with some slick tyres on, which I say probably isn't the smartest of small mistakes you're ever going to make in your life, Logan Sargent. But it did end up with some fairly substantial consequences.
Yeah.
Like fire.
We'll take this opportunity to go to the emails. We're opening the inbox. Andrew's been in touch again. Good evening, Andrew.
Dusting it off.
Andrew says, boys, I'm curious if you think that the incident in FP3 where Logan Sargent ended up facing the wrong direction on the track and on fire and with a wheel missing was a skill issue or just an unfortunate miscalculation. Now, I have a genuine answer, and the genuine answer is that it is both. The funny answer is get good skill issue. When you watch the replay, he is 25 centimeters in a 2 meter wide car in danger there. And I would dare say if he took that same line on Sunday without wet grass, he probably gets a bit of a wobble on, but he gets out of the throttle and he saves it, and we see a couple of replays of it. Now we get transition and we go back to the race again. Yeah. I think it was one of the, I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was one of the times where you could tell that James Vowles was sort of done with it. Because he kind of came out with a quote that essentially said politely and in a very James Vowles way, what the fuck were you doing? Because, he's just absolutely sent it in the wet and just overcooked it. And he's not good enough to do that. Lewis Hamilton could have tried that because Lewis Hamilton probably could have saved the situation had he have made that mistake. So it was an unfortunate minor miscalculation as the result of a skill issue, and it's cost him, about $2 million a year in salary.
And I think it's probably fully deserved because he's offered very little. And let's be honest, if we throw all the way back to Australia, when Alex Albon needed a rental car because his was broken, they did not hesitate to go and snatch those keys out of Logan Sargent's. They don't have keys, but go and snatch them out of his hand and go, here you go, Alex. Here's a car for you. Don't you worry about us, favourite child. We will get you that Formula One car. And then Logan Sargent just had to sit around and eat Tim Tams and hug koala bears for a couple of days.
Bloody good Tim Tams, though.
They are decent, aren't they?
I don't think we've ever had an episode of this podcast where we haven't at some point discussed biscuits. Just going to throw that out.
Better than penguins or worse than penguins?
No, they're better.
Okay, all right.
They're better in a couple of ways. Okay, we're going into it now. Here it comes. They're better in a number of ways. The biscuit itself is better, but also we're better for the environment. Because I don't need every penguin to be individually wrapped inside and out a wrapper. What's the point of that? Tim Tams, clever tray, out of thing. You're in and away, but Tim Tams are better. Sorry, Formula One podcast, carry on.
No, I think it's a really good point. The last thing you want to do is see a sea turtle choke on a penguin wrapper.
Exactly.
So, anyway, he's gone. He's finished.
He's gone. And he's being replaced with one of the better names on the grid.
Franco.
Jalapinto.
Franco. The first name's good as well, to be fair.
It's just a cracking name all round.
It's really good. Like, I think Crofty's going to get a bit of a chubby on when he gets to announce Franco Colapinto for the first time. I mean, we are going very Italian. He is Argentine. So the accent that we've done is complete cultural misappropriation.
I don't think if we tried to do an Argentinian accent, that doesn't end up with us getting cancelled. I think that we probably make a misstep there.
Yeah. Anyway, he's the first Argentine in Formula One in 23 years, since a chap who you'll remember well, Gaston Mazzacane. Mazzacane, I think.
Yeah, he was banned because of his dad's ties to the Putin regime.
Could be.
It was Mazepin. Sorry.
Close. Anyway, I watched Formula One during the era of which the Gaston Mazzacane raced, and I have absolutely no recollection of him existing in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. He did, in fact, drive 21 races for Minardi and Prost. Worryingly, he was replaced by a Brazilian chap called Luciano Berti, who I do remember, and he actually raced 6 races less than Gaston Mazzacane. So I don't know what Gaston Mazzacane was playing at to not impress me during the early 2000s as to figure out what was going on. But Colapinto, F3 in 2022, 2023, joined the Williams Academy in 2023 January, raced in F2 this year, did the postseason test in 2023, where I don't really know if this is a stat that you want to really sing from the rooftops, but posted the 22nd quickest time, which if you were to reword that, dare I say, would be probably the third slowest. But
Well, I was going to say he's gone around slower than the safety car by the sounds of things.
Yeah. So 20
Because there's only 20 cars, and then there's the safety and the medical car.
True.
So
Great job. And obviously, well, not obviously, but did the FP1 session at Silverstone in place of Logan Sargent. So there probably was a lot of writing on the wall, and it was only a matter of time before Logan Sargent had to go and clear his office out and remove his name from the door.
Yeah. Look, I don't actually... I knew nothing of this bloke. It was possibly the first time I'd ever heard his name, even though he's done FP sessions and stuff this year.
Yep.
I think it's a nice thing that they've promoted one of their Williams Academy junior reserve driver people to fulfill this role. I don't know what that says to you if you're Logan Sargent, that I think if they'd have brought Mick Schumacher in, as all the talk was suggesting that they were looking at doing, you could go, okay, Mick didn't mind putting it in the wall either, but at least Mick's got like 45... race starts. It knows how to drive a car. He's not a rookie. He is Mercedes test driver. He is, he's in there.
Schumacher carries a bit more weight than Sargent as well, doesn't
Williams are taking a punt on a rookie that's driven, all of 18 or 19 laps in a Formula One car over you in your second year of your contract. Oh dear.
And particularly as well, where you've got Carlos Sainz lined up next year.
This is not a test, is it? This is not them checking if he's good enough. It's not a Liam Lawson situation where they're going, sweet, we'll chuck you in. If you do well, you can stay. If you don't do well, you're gone. He's gone anyway.
Yeah, of course. This is literally a knock on the door to Colapinto and just going, we don't really care if you drive around the same pace as Logan Sargent. Could you just not put it in the wall for the next 9 weekends and save us a few quid?
Yep.
That's it.
Which is, that's all he needs to do. All he needs to do. Just let Alex be Alex and crack on. On Williams and great names, by the way, just to box that off. During the week as well, they have announced a new addition to their driver academy. He's a tiny 12-year-old, I think, Dutch boy. It is very important that we do not let Daniel Ricciardo get wind of this bloke's name or it's over. Right? His name is Dean Hugendorn. And I'm telling you right now, if Daniel Ricciardo hears this, Hugendorn! Every time, and he's never going to be able to live it down. So we need to keep them far away from each other. But what a name. Well done. He's 12.
Surely those paths cross. Because surely Daniel Ricciardo is destined for a role on the F1 media coverage of some sort somewhere.
Also, you don't... Dean feels out of place for me for a 12-year-old Dutch boy.
Yeah.
I don't... My first thought when I think 12-year-old Dutch boy is not Dean Hugendorn. Absolutely. That's, if anything, the first thought is
He can't pick his surname.
But Dean sounds more Australian than Daniel Ricciardo. That is quite something.
And probably a 55-year-old British bloke from Salford.
Yes. Comes round to do your toilet.
But good for Dean.
Yeah,
doing it for the Deans in the world.
Done. Well, imagine, by the way, he's not even in high school yet, right? You rock up first day to high school. What do you do on the weekends? Well, you say, I'm on the Williams Racing Driver Academy. I'm going to be in Formula One.
Imagine the stash at playtime as well. Just strutting in to the lunchroom with your Williams backpack on.
Day. With your Williams backpack, your Williams trainers that they've all got. They're Kappa trainers or whatever. Umbro trainers or something. The bloke's got it set already.
Stash.
Already.
What a sod.
Right. A couple of little things to box off. It's Monza this weekend, Dan. Look, everyone has been doing the calculations in their head about the whole Lando situation. McLaren have now come out and said that they're going to start prioritising it. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw that quite aggressively already this weekend. Predictions, I think he probably wins again.
Yeah, I think so. I think
he's riding high now.
Yeah, that was a statement, wasn't it? In the Netherlands at Zandvoort. Is he as clinical as what Max has been in the past? I still think that's yet to be confirmed. I think there's a chance still that there's he's fluffed the start up again and he's now 6 seconds behind.
Just on that, fuck me, Lando. When the lights go out, you press the right hand pedal downwards and then you turn around the first corner.
Just get on with it, mate.
Like, what are you doing?
But you can almost guarantee he isn't going to be leading into turn one if he qualifies on pole.
I don't think every of the 7 times he's been on pole, he's never been leading after lap 1.
But he did break the duck that he did win the race, so that's a positive.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he will go on to win, and I think McLaren have got to put all their eggs in one basket if they stand a chance, and it is a very, very distant chance.
Yeah.
Will we get to Abu Dhabi, and will we be sat here having a conversation going, well, probably should have done that in Hungary, lads, rather than faffing around with all that, or what was it, your little nightmares are going boop, boop, boop. Yeah. Like, just you should have done it then. And I think they probably should have done, because the writing was on the wall at that point. I don't think Oscar Piastri was going to have any chance of catching Max. Great to let him win his first kind of proper big boy Grand Prix.
Is their job easier now because they've already done that? Like, is it...
Yeah, potentially.
Oscar's won one now.
Yeah.
They feel good about the car. There's probably going to be opportunities through either unfortunate situations for Lando or just on raw pace, like we saw last year in the sprint at Qatar. That Oscar was just on one at that track. Does it make it easier now for them to sit down in the office, over the autumn break that we're going to have or whatever, and just say, right, Oscar, we love you, and you've got plenty more years in F1 here, but Lando's our golden goose right now. So if you could just minister of defence at Abu Dhabi 21 and just play the team game for us here, you've got your win.
Yeah.
How about we win the double this year, and then we'll start fresh again next year?
Yeah. You wouldn't want to finish second by a point, though, would you?
No.
Because that would be the moment that it would throw back to you.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That ship sailed. They've done it.
And one last thing. The Ferrari boys this weekend, as they often do for Monza. Ferrari are coming with... I don't know if they've talked about a special livery yet, but they're certainly in special suits, and they've got some special merch. And it's quite slick. It's in sort of gunmetal black grey, with some yellow accents and stuff, and it's quite pleasant to look at. It's a little bit less loud than the normal Ferrari gears. And then there's a giant fuck-off yellow square on it that has a yellow Shell logo in it, which... I've worked in sports media stuff before, and I've designed kits, and I've, worked with sponsors on how they want their logos to appear.
Yeah.
Apart from HP, every other sponsor has made their logo monotone in yellow. Santander, yellow, simple, transparent background logo. AWS, like, these are big boy companies. These are not like they're bullied Celsius Smart Water into, hey, lads, make your logo yellow for us. Like, I can't begin to imagine how many people at Ray-Ban, AWS, and Santander need to sign off on an all-yellow use, in someone else's hex code of their logo.
Yeah.
And Shell, whose logo is already yellow, have gone, not a chance. That goes on a giant yellow square, like you hadn't signed us before you made the suits, and you had to get an iron-on patch to have it ready for the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It was... Yeah, it had the real chance to be something stunning. And so many, particularly in football as well. And I say football as in soccer, because obviously you're from the upside down world, aren't you, from Australia? But so many of those clubs across all the different leagues have had those kind of like limited edition blackout kits. And one of the most famous ones, I think, is like Borussia Dortmund, and looks the absolute bollocks. How good would that Ferrari gear look if it was all black? The overalls were black, and then in that kind of like grey, lighter black, which is that's the other thing as well. I mean, how many shades of black have they gone for on the actual car? But anyway, like, if you'd have gone all black on the overall, and you'd have gone for that kind of middle ground or lighter shade of grey for all of your kind of detailing and sponsorship and stuff like that, I think at that point there, you're going, holy shit, Ferrari.
It's drawing a lot of attention.
Like, just take all my money, or go onto like some of the fake websites to go and get it all for a lot cheaper price. But that's where I think you would be. But actually, they've kind of not really been brave enough to do that. They've tried, but they've not been brave enough.
And this is the shame. And I don't even think it's Ferrari necessarily. I think if Ferrari had the opportunity to do that, they would do that. And to be fair, I think if all the teams had the opportunity to not put sponsors on their gear, they wouldn't put sponsors on their gear. And they need to get sign off. But I mean, the HP, why we need a belly HP and a tit HP, like, I can't see one without the other. Like,
the thing is,
I don't get it.
unless their car breaks down and they get out and they're stood on the side of the road waiting for the AA van to come and pick them up, or they're one of the 3 people that stand on the podium at the end of it, which unlikely Ferrari are going to do at the moment, you're never going to see it anyway. Because they're sat like folded up like a bloody lawn chair inside a fast car that you'll never see what's going on the belly or the tit anyway. So, yeah, weird. Oh, well.
Weird. Anyway, hey, that's us for another week. We've got a race this weekend, and then we have a week off. Can you believe it?
I'm knackered, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Dan, where can they find you on the internet?
At danjads_, you can find various things about cricket, mostly cricket and pretty much only cricket.
There you go. And if you want to come watch me play games, you can watch me play games at twitch.tv/Hey Look It's Alex. I'm playing Planet Crafter at the minute.
Never heard of it.
I'm building an ecosystem. We also chat a lot of shit.
Content.
So if you'd like to come and watch me chat a lot of shit, you can. I probably will do some more sim racing again soon as well on stream. And we should probably line up on a stream to do some sim racing at some point. Yeah. If you'd like to email the show like Andrew did earlier, please do. Send us some thoughts or some queries or all of the above. lapdownpod@gmail.com, or you can go and watch clips and engage with us and send comments and abuse and whatnot at lapdownpod on pretty much all your socials, your Instas, your TikToks, and your Twitters and stuff. That's us for this week. We'll see you after Monza. We'll see we'll see if we've still got a title fight in our hands. I think if he doesn't win this weekend, the title fight's probably over already.
Yeah, that would piss all over people's cornflakes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Oh well, see you soon.
Bye.